You're listening to the Small Business Talk podcast with Cathy Smith.
Small Business Talk is a podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want a better way to run their businesses without spending years doing it the hard way. Small Business Talk is hosted by Cathy Smith, who has run the same marketing agency for more than 17 years and helped hundreds of business owners achieve their marketing goals.
Welcome to Small Business Talk, episode 197. Today, my special guest is Amy Bett, and Amy is from Ladies Without Limits. So we thought today we'd talk about money. Everybody loves money. Well, not everybody likes to talk about it, but it's a good subject to talk about. So why do business owners find it so difficult to manage money? So welcome, Amy.
Cathy, thank you so much for having me today.
You are very welcome. So give us a 2-minute spiel about where you're from and why we should be listening to you.
Awesome. Okay. Hello, everyone. As Cathy mentioned, my name is Amy Bett. I am a profit-first professional and the founder of Lady Without Limits. And I teach business owners how to manage their cash flow and how to really feel in control of their numbers and have that visibility over their finances that they might not have had before. And I guess the reason why it's so important is because money is really important in business. I know that most business owners, and this was myself included when I first started out in business, went into business not really caring about the numbers too much. I knew that I wanted to make money, but I was more focused on the service that I was delivering. And I know a lot of people have the same mindset, but it gets to a point where things can feel hard, or, money might be really coming in, but you just don't really know what's going on in your business. And it hurts you from being able to make a lot of great financial decisions. And it doesn't really enable us to get ahead and to get to our goals of where we want to really get to. So I really only figured all of this out and became a profit-first professional after failing in my own business. So I'm definitely not coming to you today with an accountant hat on, or I don't have a huge history with numbers. Really, I was my own battler, and then I transformed my own life and decided to become a profit-first professional when I just realized how important this work is and how it can really transform your stress levels if you focus on getting to know your numbers. And it's not that difficult. So I'm excited to chat to you about it today.
Excellent. So you've mentioned a couple of things there. We'll delve into what profit first is in a little bit more detail in a minute. I know it and some of the audience knows it, but others won't. So we'll go into that in a second. But 2 things about either having money or not having money. So having money is great, but people seem to shy away from it, and they don't realize the more money they have, the more good things they can do. So if you're a good person to start with, money will amplify that. It's not going to turn you into a horrible rich person. If you're a horrible person to start with, you're not listening to this podcast, so we're all good. So we don't need to go there. And the other thing is that we don't want to have expensive hobbies. We actually want to have businesses. Expensive hobbies is for a different time and a place. And a good business can definitely finance that. So tell us more about Profit First for those that don't know who the wonderful Mike Michalowicz is and his workings.
Yeah, perfect. So if you don't know what Profit First is, it's basically a money method that, as you mentioned, Cathy, Mike Michalowicz was the author, and he founded this method after his own business failings. He had a really successful business that he lost all of the money, and basically he came up with this method in the depths of his despair, and it not only transformed his life, but it's now transformed thousands and thousands of businesses worldwide, which is absolutely amazing. So the basic principles of it is understanding how to read your financial reports, and that is simple, but then separating your cash flow into the key bank accounts or buckets that you need to successfully manage a business. Now, every business needs at least 5 buckets or bank accounts, and that's for your everyday purposes such as your income, operating expenses, your taxes, your profit, your owner's pay. That's the 5. Every single business owner has those responsibilities to pay yourself, to have a profit in the business. to pay taxes, you're going to have operating expenses, and you're going to have income. Now, by separating your money out in this way, you're going to have really great visibility of how much money that you actually have to operate your business. A big problem that people have is they've got all of their money lumped into one bank account, which leads to confusion. When there's money in there, they're like, great, I've got money, and they can often overspend or accidentally spend their tax and their owner's pay and, on all sorts of things. But when there's no money in there, they go into panic mode. So what we like to do is we like to help business owners to separate their cash flow. So they've got that understanding of how much money they truly have to spend, and to protect themselves from actually spending their money in their wrong way, so that they can pay themselves and have a profit as well.
Fantastic. And I like the way that Mike talks about Thanksgiving turkey. Obviously, in Australia, most people don't do Thanksgiving, but we've got a fair idea of what it is. And you guys in America, of course, know exactly what we're talking about. But he talks about the Thanksgiving turkey plate and having the turkey on the plate, and then everybody getting a fork and eating off the plate. There's no way we would do that. We would all get a serving, either somebody would serve us or we would serve ourselves, put it onto a separate plate. And that's kind of the idea behind the bank accounts, is you're putting those portions into those different bank accounts so that you can see how much you should be eating, i.e. spending, and making sure that there is some left over for, like you say, things like taxes, super, all the other things that we need to do as business owners. So that's a really great analogy. And I find for a lot of people, it really helps them with that shiny object syndrome. If there's no profit and there's no extra money in that account, can they buy that little shiny object that's yapping at them? Or is that a case of it has to be decided whether it's something for a later on?
Exactly right. You hit the nail on the head there. We're not trying to give you restrictive budgets. We're just highlighting how your business is performing, and it allows you to be a better decision maker and decide on the right time to make those purchases, rather than just going ahead and doing it blind.
Perfect. And I think it also makes you stop and just take that little bit of a break between that excitement, emotion, especially with social media tugging at us, before you actually make the decision to buy, because we all know that we can impulse buy pretty quickly. We don't really want to have buyer's remorse afterwards, and especially if it's a big purchase. And a lot of these purchases, there may be a very short cooling off period, if any cooling off period, and it can be quite difficult to get your money back if you change your mind.
Absolutely. And this is why this system has worked so well for me, because my husband would call me a marketer's dream. I'm a very optimistic person that, yes, do it. Let's do it. Let's go for it, which has served me well so many times in my business and in my life. But particularly before I had this system set up, oh my goodness, the amount of things that I would just purchase on a whim and think, oh, it'll be okay, is funny now. But it's not wanting to, we definitely are not here to dull your sparkle or dull that excitability. We're just helping you to make those decisions when you've got the awareness.
Absolutely. And making sure that when it comes to the end of the financial year, wherever your financial year ends, and making sure that you do have that money for your tax, you do have that money for your personal taxes, as well as GST or your VAT or whichever variety that you have, because there's nothing better than that feeling of getting those really big bills coming in and going, that's fine, I've just got the money there, I can just reallocate it to pay that bill, all good, rather than thinking, oh my golly gosh, I've got this bill coming up, I don't know how much it's going to be, I don't know where I'm going to get the money from, if I spent it, have I overdone it, what has gone on? But having that money there gives you so much security, and like you say, a lot less stress.
Oh my goodness. Like, I cannot tell you how excited and happy it makes me when participants in my Money Mastery program put a message in our Facebook group and, say comments like, for the first time ever, I had money for my BAS. For the first time ever, I was able just to reach into that bank account and transfer the money and feel good about it. A lot of people are scared of tax and they hate tax, but we actually help you to become friends with tax and just realize it's an everyday part of business. It's an everyday part of life. We're supporting the community. And you can feel even better about it by actually, as you said, having the money sitting there in the bank account, waiting for that to come in. It feels so good. it transforms the way that you feel about money in general, and it really helps you to foster an abundance money mindset because it gets you out of scarcity.
Absolutely. And we all do hate tax, or majority of people, but we like the fact that we can send our children to school. We like the fact that we've got roads to drive on. We like the fact that we've got really good hospital systems in most Western countries. All of that kind of thing comes out of our tax money. So if we're not paying our taxes and doing it properly, how can we hope for those sort of systems to be available when we need them?
Exactly right. And trust me, I've been to quite a few countries that don't have the same luxury. And I thank, our lucky stars just how blessed we are, because we live in a, most of us, I'm not sure where you're listening in from today, but most of us live in a really, a safe and great country where we have these privileges.
Yeah, we absolutely do. So, okay, we've thought about our different buckets, our different bank accounts. So, for people that are not running profit first systems, can you give them a few tips about how they might manage their money? Obviously, look you up and find out about profit first, but for right now.
Yeah, sure. I think if in the beginning, if you're feeling overwhelmed by your finances, the first thing that I want to say is just to tell yourself, because I promise you it's true, and I was in this situation, that it's actually not that hard to manage your finances. So just start there and understand that the only reason that you feel this way right now is because you haven't learned a great way to manage your finances. You're not illiterate, you're not financially dumb or any of those things that you might have been paying yourself. You just haven't been taught a great way. So I want to start with that, because sometimes that's the first barrier to actually getting support and learning a different way, because our mindset sometimes dictates our actions. So firstly, start, let yourself know that there are so many people who have been in this position and you're not alone, and you can learn a simple system to help you. The second thing is just start small. Pick one thing that you really want to transform and start there. And it could just be putting your tax aside. And that can start the ripple effect of helping you to feel more confident with your finances. And then, go, okay, now I'm going to focus on building a profit, or I'm going to focus on paying myself properly. We can start small. And if you just open that one extra bank account and put your tax aside, find out how much tax you need to put into that bank account. GST, it's usually about 10%. And then, any income tax and tax on profit. Ask your accountant or, your financial support how much tax, put that aside in that bank account. That's going to start that ripple effect. What else can I tell you? And then I think really learn how to read your financial reports. I can now literally analyze any business that comes my way, if they've got an accounting system, in 20 minutes. I kid you not. I can play with it, show them exactly how their business is performing in 20 minutes. And I teach my clients how to do that in 20 minutes as well. You don't need a finance degree. It doesn't take too long. You just need to know the 2 reports that you need to download, and then what numbers you're looking for, and an easy, simple way to read them. Because if you can do that, then you can understand the financial health of your business all on your own at any one point. There's no mystery. There's no, I've got to wait for my accountant to get back to me and find out how I'm performing. There's none of that. You can literally pull up your Xero or your accounting software, run it, have it in 15 or 20 minutes. The second thing, the last thing, and I've spoken about a few things, but if you don't have accounting software and you're a business owner, then get accounting software. As Cathy said earlier, you're not a hobby, you're a business, and it's time to step up. Let's put our big pants on and act like a business. That accounting software is number one software that you should have out of anything else, because it's going to give you so much clarity on your numbers and keep everything financially organized so that you can be a profitable performing business, and you can have that information at your fingertips. There's nothing worse than having to manually calculate your finances every minute that you want to have any awareness. So they're my tips, Cathy.
Perfect. And a couple of things you said there was exactly that, running those reports so you can see whether you are actually selling something that's profitable. You might have a lot of money coming in, and you might have 3 or 4 products, and you might find that one's very profitable and the other 2 are not profitable at all. Now, of course, there's exceptions there where we talk about loss leaders and things like that, where we're bringing in something to then upsell or give other services. So it may be a case of a non-profitable one is still a good idea. But generally, it's a case of, if it's not profitable, should you still be doing it?
exactly where should you put your energy. I'll tell you a very quick story, but I was working with a gentleman actually. He contacted me and he said, I'm not a lady. I don't know if I've got limits, but I really like the content that you're putting out there. And would you please work with me? And I said, yes, of course. And so I analyzed his business and we looked at his different services and we saw pretty quickly that one of his services, whilst he charged more money for it, had higher labor costs and higher material costs. And when we looked at his other service, which was low labor, low materials, and in quite high demand, and he could pump them out quite quickly, we realized that we could transform his business from a business that was turning over about $50,000 to $80,000 a year to a business that would have the potential to earn about $1.2 million in a short amount of time. He had the demand, he had the opportunity to work on that service. And that was just looking at his different services to seeing and analyzing which one's actually more profitable and where should I put my energy. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to have that those results, but he was literally about to fall on the floor and he was like, oh my gosh, it just makes so much sense. But sometimes you can't see that until you actually just break it down and look at your reports and go, okay, how am I actually doing things? Because often we just do the same things every day without that additional intelligence.
Absolutely. And quite often we do what we've always done. But as we know, the world has completely changed over the last couple of years. Things that have been the norm previous are no longer. Things that were abnormal before are now the norm. So keeping track of what's happening in your market, what demand is, things that we never thought we would buy or use. I mean, having this conversation a few years ago, it would have been, you want to get on Zoom? What's that? So very odd. And it's amazing how the world does change. So looking at your numbers is really important. Now, you said if our business owners run 2 reports, that's a good start. What are those 2 reports?
Yeah, sure. So your profit and loss report and your balance sheet, they're the 2 that are where you're going to find most of the information that you need in your business. And that's, what is my income? What are my operating expenses? Do I have any cost of goods or materials and subcontractors? So what is that number? What's my owner's pay? They're the biggest ones that you'll find on both of those reports. And I'll give you a little tip, guys. If you download those reports, particularly your profit and loss, as month to month, so over the time period that you're looking at and do it month to month, and then export it as a Google sheet or an Excel document, it makes it so much easier to be able to highlight over the total trading income or the total expenses and find out exactly how much you're earning. We like to talk about averages, and maybe we'll talk about that in a second, Cathy, but it just makes it so much easier to read than looking at the software and not really being able to see it all in one capture, if that makes sense. And then your balance sheet, you download that one as the time period. You don't do it month to month, but as the same time period that you're looking at in your profit and loss. And usually in the balance sheet, you're looking for loans and owner's drawings or contribution. That's they're the figures that you're looking at in your balance sheet generally.
Perfect. And you mentioned averages. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah. So averages are brilliant. And as soon as you understand how to use them, they make your business finances seem so much more digestible. So a lot of problems that business owners have, or one of the biggest problems, is that they have inconsistent income. So they might have a big month of income and then a lower month and then another big month. And it just kind of goes in a bit of a wave. That's not the right word, but a squiggle.
Spikes.
Yeah, some sparks. And it's really hard for them to understand exactly how much income they're making, and the same with their expenses. So if you can look at the average over a time period, so say, for example, over 12 months, what was the average income that came in and then the average expenses, it just gives you a clear line of roughly, or on average, how much you're earning and what your expenses are. And then you can use those numbers to actually plan out your cash flow and how much cash flow you need, because when you use those numbers, even in the lower periods, you'll be allocating more money in the higher periods, which will make up for those lower periods. So hopefully that's not too in depth for this conversation, but just a simple way to figure out your averages. You can easily do it on the spreadsheet. You can just highlight over all the months, and then down the bottom, you can click on the little button and it just tells you where the sum is, and it just tells you the average. Or you can just divide the total income and the total expenses that you're looking at and divide it by the number of months. and that will give you that number.
Excellent. And I like the way that you've done it month by month, because that can also then help other decisions about, okay, is it summer is quieter than other months? Is summer a higher demand month? So then if you're looking at doing ordering and bringing in stock, that sort of thing, if you're doing it month by month, you can see when you need to pull back before you have excess and then have to sell it off at bottom bargain basement rates so that you can get rid of it. So by doing the average, you can see where you are for the year, but by doing it month to month, you can see what fluctuates. You know that maybe November is going to be a really busy month, so you can start ordering things in time so that you've got them in November. If you've got Black Friday sales, that sort of thing, you might need extra stock. You might be getting rid of some of your stock that you haven't been such a good seller. So you've got different options there when you're looking at those. So it all gets down to looking at your numbers, knowing what's in your business, and making sure you're on top of it.
Exactly. It's just understanding quickly how to do your financial reports, how to read that information, and then how to have a cash flow system set up in your business to help you to manage that cash flow with ease.
Fantastic. So is there anything that we haven't discussed that you think we should have, Amy?
Not that's coming to the top of my mind, but I really just want to drive home again. If you feel out of control with your finances, and if you feel like you don't have the confidence with your numbers, please just know it's not that hard. You can get support and you can change your situation quicker than you could ever imagine.
Fantastic. So if people would like to know more about you and where to find you, where do they go?
Sure. So the easiest place to find me, I've got a free masterclass where I teach this information in a step-by-step process. You can find it on my website. You can go to amybett.com, AMYBETT.com. I also have the ladywithoutlimits.com website, but there's a few little bugs going on there. So go to amybett.com and you'll find my website and all of the free resources there to help you.
Fantastic. So we'll only put amybett.com in the show notes, so that'll make it easy for people. Now, at this stage of the podcast, I get to ask you 5 questions. Are you game, Amy?
Of course. Love it.
All right. What is the best advice given to you by a mentor?
Oh, this is awesome. And it's so geeky, and it's something that I never would have thought in the past, but it's just your numbers don't lie, and just look at data, whether that's in with your cash flow or your marketing, like really make friends with those numbers, because it's going to drive your entire business. That's the best advice. And I really learned into that. And I learned the key numbers in both marketing and my cash flow. And it's just, it's given me so much more confidence.
Absolutely love that, especially when you talk about marketing too, because you see so many people spending a lot of money on ads, paid ads, and not getting any return. If you're looking at that data, you will know to stop and tweak them before all that money disappears. So definitely data.
Daily, we look at our ads, so that when even weekly is not enough. So data's king, like you said.
Perfect. What is the biggest help that you have received since starting your business?
Oh, my husband. I must admit, my husband, there's been times in my business where I've, been crying at the kitchen table because it just all feels like it's too much. And, I remember times when, I was trying to get my social media up and going, or my website finished, and I was just trying to do everything myself. And there's just been times where my husband's come over to me and he's like, how can I help? And he's just come in and saved the day. And I'll never forget those moments. It's made me really grateful, and also taught me that you don't have to do it all on your own either.
No, definitely not.
There's help around.
Fantastic. What is the one thing that you do every day, your non-negotiable?
Oh, okay. My daily practice. Now, this is a really quick 5-minute exercise that gets me into gratitude and feeling abundant with my money. Would you like me to quickly share it? Yep. Okay. All right. So what I do is super quickly, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, and they change every day so that I can feel them. I write 3 affirmations. So things that have already happened. If I'm struggling with, whatever it is, it's like, I money flows with me to ease and abundance, or, my relationships are really healthy and strong, just something like that. And then 5 goals that do not change. So they're the same 5 goals and they stay on there until I've achieved them and tick them off. And that daily practice has shown me, kept my mind really focused on what I am trying to achieve. And I can't tell you how many I've ticked off now, which is really gratifying. It just kind of starts my day properly. And that's probably the only non-negotiable that I have. Everything else is, I love exercise, but it doesn't happen every day.
Fantastic. What is your favorite business book and why?
Oh, good question. Okay, obviously outside of Profit First, because I'm a Profit First professional. Another one that I really love is by Russell Brunson. So the Expert Secrets trilogy. The starting one is not Traffic Secrets, not Expert Secrets, it's .com Secrets. So I basically learned how to build my online course and, how to do marketing and how to talk to my customers and all of those things. Everything that I needed to do was like a business Bible out of those 3 books. It's a trilogy. So I feel like 3 to 1 is okay. But they're all by Russell Brunson, .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, and Traffic Secrets.
That's a very clever way to get more than one book. You actually got 4 there. So well done. Well done. I've had a couple of people try to sneak in 2 or 3, but you've definitely got that one mastered before. So well done. What do you wish you had known when you started out?
Oh, that it's going to go slower than I would like, but I'm going to get further than I ever thought. Definitely.
Fantastic. So is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to tell the SPT audience?
Just get confident with your numbers. That's all. We've definitely covered it. But I just really appreciate being here today. And yeah, hopefully I've been able to give you a couple of tips that you can action into your business straight away.
Fantastic. So I think that's the key goal, isn't it? Is taking one tip and actioning it. So making sure that you are looking at your numbers for marketing as well as your cash flow, and then do that one thing. So whether it is putting money aside for tax, whether it's paying yourself, whether it's going and checking those ads that are possibly running off all by themselves. So just action one thing.
Yeah, my goodness, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, your marketing is what brings the money in to fill up those bank accounts. So you've really got to have your fingers on the pulse when it comes to both your marketing and your cash flow. You're totally right.
So we've been talking about lots of different things here, Amy. And one of the things that we talked about offline was whether big businesses or small businesses or what size businesses need to be looking at their cash flow.
My goodness, yeah, I'm really glad that we're talking about this, because the truth is, at every size business needs to be looking at their cash flow, whether you have a multi-million-dollar business, whether you're, hitting 6 figures or multiple 6 figures, whether you're a startup, you need to understand your numbers. I can't tell you how many businesses that I have worked with and done a cash flow analysis on their business, particularly businesses in the multi-7-figure range, who have very little available cash flow and very little profit in their business. So one thing that's really important to know is that more money isn't going to solve your problems. If you don't have your expenses under control, your expenses are just going to keep growing and growing, because as the business grows, so do your expenses. You hire more team members, you have bigger buildings if you have that, more software, more everything keeps growing. So if you don't have your finger on the pulse with your expenses and understand, what is healthy growth with expenses, oh my goodness, it is so easy to overspend and then just be spending almost as much as that revenue that's coming in, and pretty quickly, even those 7-figure businesses can crumble. Trust me, I've seen it happen. And often even those big businesses just don't have the awareness of what's going on. They think there's money in their bank account, so things are okay, but they're not. The good thing is, when there's money, you can often make efficiencies and make changes and get back. I'm not saying this to really scare you, but I'm just showing you how more money doesn't mean financial well-being at all, unless you have the systems in place, or you've got, you understand your numbers.
Absolutely. And it can be a case of when you don't have money, you're paying things month by month or payment plans, that sort of thing. But when you've got a bit more cash flow, then you can start negotiating. Okay, if I pay it annually, will it be cheaper? If I pay it in a lump sum, what can we do now that I'm ordering a larger amount? Can we get a better deal if I'm ordering it by the pallet load or the truckload or whatever the multiplier up is? So I think that's a really important thing. And the other thing, of course, is to look at those ongoing costs that you've got and how many of them are you not using now? So you talked about accounting software. So did you maybe have some sort of lower rate accounting software and now you've upgraded to a higher one that maybe you've got payroll or some other things involved? But do you still have that original software that you're paying for that you're not using? And how many times do we see that, especially in marketing? This really does dovetail into cash flow and marketing, about how we've had subscriptions for things that we're no longer using. Are you now converting over to Canva? So you may not be using CorelDRAW or Adobe that you started with, but you're still paying subscriptions on those kind of products. There's so many things that are great when you're a startup or you're a smaller business. As you expand, your preferences change, your ability changes, the things that you need. You might have brought in a dedicated person to do that. You might now be outsourcing that. So you might not need those things in your business. So as you say, more money doesn't necessarily mean more efficiencies, but it can.
Yeah, absolutely. A really good trick for that is we tell our clients to do a cash flow analysis on their business every quarter. And it doesn't take a long time. Again, you can do this whole process in an hour. So 1 hour a quarter, where you go and again, download your financial reports, look at your numbers and put them into a calculator so you can understand the breakdown of your expenses and your owner's pay and taxes versus your income. But then go and look at your expenses and do exactly what Cathy said and just do a quick review of those expenses in your software and just determine if you still use them. I literally, it was maybe a year ago, saved $1,000 a month just on canceling subscriptions and things that I wasn't used to. I said before, I'm a marketer's dream. I wasn't lying. I get wrapped up into the new whiz bang software, AI, whatever it is. Whether I'm using it or not, that's a different story. And so it's really important to keep an eye on that, because essentially imagine spending $1,000 a month on a holiday or like a handbag or anything else other than subscriptions that you're not using. So you've just got to sometimes put the value of it to something else that you would actually really love and enjoy in your life, and you can cancel them pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And it might even be something for the team or the staff. It might be a recognition at the end of the year or the quarter or whatever it be. The other thing that you've got to really watch is the free trials. We'll give it to you for 7 days, 30 days, all of that sort of thing. And you've got to put a credit card in to do it. And then you forget. And suddenly that credit card is being charged. And if you're not watching that, it can then tick over. And it ticks over monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever it happens to be. And it's only $10 here, $20 there, $100 here. And suddenly, like you say, it's $1,000 a month before you even know.
I kid you not, I did that last week, where there was a new ad, AI creative, that I wanted to check out. And so again, you have to put your credit card details in. And I had a quick look and I'm like, okay, I'll go and look at that further later to make sure. Of course, 7 days passes. I looked at it the next day after I got charged, realized that I got charged 183 US dollars. Anyway,
Ouch.
thank goodness. And it was something that I realized I don't want to use. I was just testing it to check out if it was going to help my business. Thank goodness, I just emailed the chat straight away and said, look, I'm so sorry, I missed the trial by 1 day. Can you please refund, as this is software that I will not use for my business? And they refunded it. So if that ever does happen to you, always ask for a refund, because a lot of the time, even though they might not explicitly say it, they have like a happiness guarantee and they will refund you. So always ask. And I got lucky, but I've had times where I have not gotten so lucky. And like I've paid for a quarterly subscription of something that was like 300 US, and I ended up using it because I had done it, but my intention was to cancel. So yeah, oh my goodness, you can get caught out so easily.
Absolutely. And quite often they won't let you refund either. So
no.
therefore, if that is the case, make sure you put in the cancellation right there and then,
Yeah,
so that
don't
you
wait.
don't then get recharged. Because if you think, oh, I'll just go and try it and then have another go, you've got no chance. So
No.
be careful of the Black Friday sales, all of those kind of things where all the hype is around you need. And like you say, at the moment, AI, you've got to have AI. You can't do your business without it. Well, how about you analyze your own business and make those decisions for yourself before you get caught up in the hype?
Yeah, go and do your research. But yeah, as you said, just determine what is for you. And we don't have to do it all at once. I think that's the biggest thing. We're definitely going to have to implement AI into our business, but it doesn't have to be all at once. And we can do it mindfully.
Absolutely. And sometimes some of these products work for specific businesses and some work for others. So it might be a case of sitting back and watching and seeing what works means that the one that you do buy might be more specifically for you rather than a general one.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more.
Fantastic. So thank you very much, Amy. Appreciate your time and your wisdom.
Thank you so much, Cathy. I've loved this conversation. Thank you again.
And SBT audience, remember, enjoy your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Small Business Talk podcast and head on over to smallbusinesstalk.com.au/downloads for all the show notes and links to this episode. Remember, to be great, you must start. Pick one tip from today's episode, take action and implement it. Let's meet again next week at the same time and place. Until then, take action. And SBT community, enjoy your journey.